Okay, I've been doing some brainstorming on how I'm going to be having my generator run itself, since I haven't been able to make any driver coils. I've been trying to go over how my generator is going to be able to run itself, what would be the best way. And before I explain it, I just want to go over this concept of the gears and how the ratio of bigger and smaller size circles in combination will give you this extra power to run your generator. Uh, as an example, everybody should know that when you have a bigger wheel with gears on it that are turning or connected to a smaller wheel, a big wheel connected to a small wheel, you get a lot of turns out of the small wheel from just one turn of the big wheel, right? Okay, that's everybody knows that, kind of should be common sense. Well, I decided that I'm going to be running my generator flywheel in the same way as those gear ratio circles, but it's going to be electrical. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with spark plug ignition systems. I've done my own work on my own vehicles all my life, so I kind of know how. I never worked on many diesels. I only worked on unleaded combustion engines, and in combustion engines, they have in the ignition system they have what's called the rotor, and what it does is the rotor pin goes in a circle underneath what's called a rotor cap, and it'll have, if you have a 6-cylinder car, it'll have 6 metal spots around the rotor cap, and what the rotor does, or the rotor pin, is it has a connector, like an electrical diode at one end, and only one end, and it's plastic on the other. And as it goes around in a circle underneath this cap, it sends an electric current in each one of the metal tabs underneath the rotor cap. And it's what allows for your engine to spark at the specific times when the pistons are in their combustion phase, ready for the ignition phase. So they have, the pistons are lined up so they get ignited at certain times that allow the pistons to go down and come back up, and then they push the fumes out, and then they go back down, and then they bring in more fuel, compress it, and then they get ignited again. Well, that's the same thing that the generator is going to be using to run itself, but instead of having like a DC motor here, or trying to get it to follow the energize, just one coil that I can energize, I'm going to get a rotor cap, an 8-cylinder combustion engine rotor cap, and then I'm going to connect a battery, or maybe even a few batteries to it. And what's going to happen is the circle that has the rotor pin in it, as it goes in a circle, it's going in you can make it go in one small circle, like the size of the center of a hubcap wheel. You can get something about let me see here. Something about this size. It's like if this was the rotor cap. So you're getting something to go in a circle at a certain size, which is this size. And if I can get it to ignite or energize 8 coils as it goes around once, then I can get something really, really small, like a single phase alternating current motor, or just get 2 coils energizing with alternating current to make this rotor pin go in a circle. And as it goes in one circle, one revolution, it'll energize the coils as it goes around. It'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'll have this little tiny rotor pin go in a circle once, and it'll make this big wheel go in a circle once too. So you can imagine this tiny little rotor pin that goes ding 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 ding, and this thing follows it. It'll be a rotor cap with 8 wires, all going to 1 coil each. But if I try to energize the coils and not get it started, then nothing's going to happen. Just the magnets are going to want to attract to the metals, and no movement is going to happen. So the way it works, the way the free energy system works, is that it has to be started by the operator. The relative motion has to begin from another outside force. Since we all die and none of us live forever, my theory was that the thermodynamic energy that makes up us is the unperpetual source of thermodynamic energy that starts it, and we also have to begin the energizing effect. So all the commands and operations are coming from the human operator, or the operator that's not going to live forever, or basically the energy that makes up the operator is not going to exist forever. So as long as there's a life form operating this, then it can be maintained and you can get more energy out than in. But it has to be done in that order. There's no other way it can be done. It's, for some reason, that's just the order it has to be because of the laws of thermodynamics in the universe. The energy in our universe can't grow, it can't deplete. So what does it do? It finds a way to create artificial life forms that don't exist forever, and because they don't exist forever, they're allowed to manipulate infinite amounts of energy. But that's just the theory anyway. So that's the way I'm gonna drive this thing. Let's see, I was just doing some experiments, trying to figure out the best way to drive this thing, and I started messing around with the battery. See if I just energize it, nothing happens. But if I start moving it, I can keep it going with an alternating energizing effect, kind of like this. But this is just energizing the 2 coils that I have on the edges here. So I can't make it go much faster than this by hand. But with the rotor cap, and with a way to get it so it'll energize 1 coil at a time once this thing starts to move, then it'll depend on how fast that little rotor pin is moving to determine how fast this thing is going to be moving. I can get that little rotor pin to be moving 3600 RPM, and then this thing's going to move 3600 RPM. The difference is the size is going to be this little wheel or little rotor pin going in a small circle, and it's going to be energizing the coils, and such a manner that's going to make this much bigger wheel go in a circle. So it's almost like the opposite of what we do here. You know, we get the bigger wheel to turn the smaller wheel to get the small wheel to spin a bunch of times. But in this sense, I'm going to be using the small wheel and have 8 spots where as it goes around in one circle, it's going to energize one at a time those spots, and then it's going to get this thing to go in one circle. So you can imagine having this little thing go in one circle, and it's going to make this whole thing go in one complete circle. If you can tell, like at the beginning of this video, when I started turning this, it'll take many turns of this little wheel to get this to turn once. But to get this little wheel to turn once and then to make this bigger wheel turn once, just because of the single turn from the smaller wheel, is a really big ratio. I'm not sure how big of a ratio it is. It depends on the sizes of the circles that you use. And my theory for the universe was that there is no size limit to anything. You know, in my opinion, there's no size limit to how big the universe can get, and there's no size limit to how small something can get either. That's why we have these black holes at the center of galaxies. There's these massive stars that are so heavy that they're constantly crushing themselves into a smaller and smaller size, and space is kind of falling with it. So if it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller faster than the speed of light, then you can have space falling inward faster than the speed of light as well. So it makes sense in my mind that this is how it's going to work, because I think in this universe the only thing that is infinite that we have access to is the energy and the size ratio that we create everything with, the golden ratio. And that golden ratio that everybody talks about, back in the Mesopotamia days, where it shows the spiral going down, down, down. It's that 1/3 ratio, and it never ends. Well, that means it can get smaller and smaller and smaller and never get to a smallest point. Same thing with the bigger and bigger and bigger. It can never get to the largest point. So in this combination of using big and small wheels, to run each other, it's kind of makes the most sense in my mind. Anyway, I'm going to get back to it, and now I got my new idea on how I want to run this thing. So I'm going to go to the junkyard and get an old 8-cylinder rotor cap and rotor pin, and get the coils hopefully made up soon, and start it up. See if I can energize the coils with this tiny little rotor pin going in a circle, a small circle, making this big wheel go in a much larger circle, but at the same rate. So anyway, that's the new plan. I just thought I'd share that with everyone before I get it underway, and see what kind of feedback I can get on it. So let me know what you think, and stay posted. I'll hopefully have this completed soon. Thanks for watching.